In May 2018, a horrific crime shattered the peace of a small town near Dublin, Ireland. 14-year-old Ana Kriégel, a vibrant girl with a talent for music and art, was found brutally murdered in an abandoned house, a place once popular for teenage hangouts. The investigation took a shocking turn when Garda identified the suspects, two 13-year-old boys, known only as Boy A and Boy B, the youngest ever charged with murder in Irish history. The trial, shrouded in secrecy due to their age, deepened the chilling mystery. What drove these boys to such a horrific act?
Anastasia was born in Novokuznetsk, Russia, in 2004 and placed in an orphanage. In 2006, she was adopted by Geraldine Kriégel and her French-born husband, Patrick Kriégel. The family moved to Ireland, where they ensured Anna kept her connection to Russian culture, including her original name. Sadly, Patrick passed away in June 2022, 4 years after Anna's tragic death. Growing up in Ireland, Anna was generally happy during her primary school years, despite some health issues. She had a tumor removed from her right ear, leaving her nearly deaf in that ear, and also suffered from vision problems. However, secondary school was challenging for Anna. She struggled to make friends and was once suspended for painting a black eye on herself, which her mother believed was an expression of her inner pain. Anna faced severe bullying, both online and in person, some of which began before she even started secondary school. She was targeted for her height, her adoption, and received sexually explicit messages. In 2017, Anna self-harmed due to the relentless bullying and even created fake social media accounts to bully herself. After discovering this, her mother insisted on having access to all her social media passwords to monitor her interactions. Despite these efforts, the impact of the bullying and isolation was profound. Anna wasn't very good at geography. One of the several ailments afflicting the young girl was a short-term memory problem, which made it difficult for her to recall all the terms she needed. In general, Anna wasn't academically inclined, her mother later said. Part of this was down to her having been adopted from Russia at the age of 2, leaving her playing catch-up with her peers in English language skills. Problems with her hearing compounded the issue. Exams were scheduled for the following week. So, on the morning of Sunday, May 13, 2018, Geraldine Kriégel planned to sit down with her daughter to help her study. "No, ma'am, you must be exhausted." "We can do it later," Anna told her mother. Geraldine agreed. There was to be a small family gathering later, but they had a few hours to relax beforehand. Meanwhile, Anna did one of her favorite things, watching movies with her mother and eating popcorn. Later, Geraldine ordered pizza for the party. Anna didn't like pizza, so she walked into Leekslip and brought home a spice bag from a Chinese takeaway. Back at the house, the children played while the adults had a drink in the conservatory. At one stage, Anna and her cousin went up to her room to make a YouTube video, another of her favorite hobbies. Like nearly every other teenager, Anna used a staggering number of social media apps, including Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and Houseparty. Her favorite was YouTube. She would make videos about dancing, clothes, and makeup for her 100 or so subscribers. Although the videos attracted many pleasant comments, they also brought poisonous barbs and even threats. One viewer told Anna to go die. Another said they would have her executed. A short time later, the family gathering ended. There was school the next day. Anna's cousins were collected, and she went to bed at about 10:30 p.m. Before going to sleep, Anna asked her mother to wake her the next morning in time to say goodbye before she left for work. Like most teenagers, Anna liked to sleep in, but she had promised her parents she would try to get up earlier in the morning. Geraldine Kriégel is a senior manager in the legal department of CI, the state public transport company. She was usually first up in the morning. Her husband, Patrick Kriégel, had retired from teaching French at Dublin Institute of Technology. That morning, Anna reminded her mother that she needed a note to get out of school at 2:30 p.m. She had a counseling appointment with Kildare Youth Services, which she attended once a week. Geraldine wrote the note, kissed Anna goodbye, and left to catch the train to Dublin for a meeting. Her daughter put on her school uniform, had a little breakfast, and left sometime later. The plan was for Anna to eat lunch at school before walking to counseling. but she decided to return home to eat before going to her appointment. After counseling, she came home, had a snack of oven chips, and went to her room. It was around this time she tried to phone her mother. The two frequently called or texted each other during the day. When Ana rang at 4:02 p.m., Geraldine was in a meeting and couldn't answer. She texted her daughter to tell her she'd call shortly. Patrick was relaxing outside, taking in the May sunshine, when at 4:55 p.m. he heard the doorbell. It was Boy B. He asked for Ana. When her father told her who was at the door, Ana was confused. She knew who the boy was, but they were by no means friends. Nonetheless, she went down and spoke to him. Patrick saw Ana standing in the doorway, whispering to the boy. He didn't find this unusual, he would later recall. I think a lot of teens do it. She then ran back upstairs to get her hoodie before telling Patrick she was going out. Ana's mother had bought the hoodie for her online, from China. It was distinctive, black with writing down the sleeves. Within days, most of Ireland would see photographs in newspapers and on television of Ana wearing it. Patrick reminded Ana about her exams and told her she was supposed to study that evening. Ana responded that nobody had told her this and that she wouldn't be long. I believe she meant it. I know from the way she was saying it that she meant exactly that, Patrick would later say. Seconds after Ana left, Patrick realized he had forgotten to ask where she was going. He went to the door and saw Ana walking towards St. Catherine's Park. The boy, who was carrying a small backpack, walked ahead of her. The two didn't appear to be talking. Although it was unusual for this boy to call for Ana, Patrick was not overly concerned. She was happy when she left. She gave me a big smile. Geraldine was on the train home at the time. She had been chatting to a friend who got off at Coolmine in North Dublin about 10 minutes before Geraldine's stop at about 5:10 p.m., finally giving her a chance to return Ana's call from earlier. It went to voicemail. Geraldine didn't leave a message, as she knew she would see Ana when she got home. Normally, she wouldn't get home so early, but that day she had taken the train because of her meeting in Dublin. She found her husband in the back garden. He told her Ana had gone out with Boy B. I became immediately concerned, because he has nothing to do with her, Geraldine recalled later. Nobody calls for Ana. Shortly after 5:30 p.m., Geraldine texted her daughter a two-word message, "Home now." There was no response. She talked it over with Patrick before sending another message a few minutes later, "Answer me now or I'm calling the police." The part about the police was just to get Ana's attention, Geraldine later explained. She was conflicted. She knew Ana had only been gone for half an hour and felt like a paranoid mother, but she was extremely worried. Geraldine walked to the park. She could see children playing and adults walking their dogs, but she saw no sign of Ana. After dinner, she went out looking for her in the car, driving around local estates. Ana loved to go for long walks, so she could have been anywhere in the area. Once she got home, Geraldine and Patrick went on Facebook to find out Boy B's surname. They knew him vaguely but had no idea where he lived or who his parents were. Geraldine rang around, trying to find out his address, but without success. She and Patrick went to the house of John Cribben, a friend who is a retired detective, for advice. He told them to go straight to the Garda. At that point, Ana had been gone for 4 hours. The parents went to Leixlip Garda station, where Geraldine explained it was highly unusual for Ana not to get in touch. She told Garda her daughter was a communicator. She would always respond. Even if she said she was not talking to you, she would respond to tell you she wasn't talking to you. Ana's Irish and Russian passports were still at home, and she hadn't eaten since lunch, Geraldine added. Garda took her seriously, but there was no reason to be immediately concerned. Every week, the Garda receives dozens of reports of missing children. The vast majority turn up within a few hours. The first job for Garda was to visit the house of Boy B after locating his address on their Pulse computer system. Garda Connor Muldoon went to the house that evening. Boy B told him that he had called for Ana that day, that they had walked in the park, and that he had left her company there at 5:40 p.m. It was the first of dozens of lies he would tell investigators. The next day, Ana's family got up early to resume the search. Joined by friends and family, they walked the local area and spoke to anyone they could think of who might know where Ana was. By now, Garda were also worried, and a missing person investigation began in earnest. SGT John Dunn was tasked with returning to Boy B's house to question him further. This time, Boy B told the Garda he had called for Anna the previous day on behalf of his friend Boy. Anna had a crush on Boy, but he wasn't interested, and he wanted to meet up with her to tell her, Boy B said. He said he brought Anna to the park, where she met Boy, before leaving them and returning to his house to do his homework. Dunn brought Boy B to the park so the teenager could show him exactly where he went with Anna. Boy B showed the Garda where they had entered the park, where they had met Boy, and where he had left the two of them to talk. The Garda marked all of these locations using the GPS function on his Tetra radio before dropping the boy home. Meanwhile, a Garda family liaison officer was appointed to keep Anna's family informed about the search. Standard procedure at this stage was to issue a media appeal. Anna's parents provided some photographs of their daughter, including one of her wearing the distinctive black and white hoodie. It was in the late afternoon of Tuesday, May 15th, when the wider public first learned Ana Kriegel's name. Garda are seeking the public's help in tracing 14-year-old Anastasia Kriégel, who was last seen at her home in Leekslip, Kokildare, at 5 p.m. on Monday, the 14th of May 2018, the press release said. Anastasia is described as 5 feet 8, black shoulder-length hair, sallow skin, and slim build. The Garda sends out missing person alerts almost daily. The week before Anna's death, it issued 3, all relating to teenagers. All 3 of those young people were later found safe and well. After the appeal about Anna went out, potential leads began to pour in, all of which the Garda had to follow up. One caller said he had seen her in Dundrum, in South Dublin. Another told Garda they had seen her in the departure area of Dublin Airport. One of the more promising leads came from a local woman who said her daughter had seen Anna on the morning of May 15th by a nearby cul-de-sac. Garda followed up and discovered that a school friend lived on the cul-de-sac and that he hadn't attended school that day. But a search of the boy's house revealed nothing, and the lead turned out to be a dead end. Back in Lucan, Dunn and his colleagues continued to comb the area. After walking the park with Boy B, the Garda decided to search the railway line, but he found nothing. As Dunn was walking back, he was stopped by a man and his son. The man had heard about Anna going missing and suggested the Garda check the back of the local sewage treatment plant, as teenagers tended to hang around there. It was only later that day Dunn realized this man was Boy's father and the teen with him was Boy. At that stage, both boys were being treated as witnesses, not suspects. Garda had no reason to believe they had hurt Anna or even that Anna had been hurt at all. But because they were the last ones to have seen her, any information they could provide was vital. On Tuesday afternoon, a decision was taken to bring Boy B back to the park, this time with Boy. The boys led the way as Dunn and SGT on his hussy followed with Boy's father. As they walked, Dunn noticed Boy B was leading them on a different route from the one he showed earlier. The boys came to a stop on a path near the BMX track in the park. Dunn and Hussey both saw them exchange what they would later describe as a glance or look. It was the first indication the boys weren't telling the Garda everything. It was decided formal statements should be taken so they could clarify their exact movements. Both boys were taken to Lucan Garda station with their parents. Boy B told Garda the same story he gave earlier. "I have no clue what happened to her," he said, adding that the first time he heard something was wrong was when Garda called to his door the night before. Boy gave a detailed statement about his movements. He said Boy B was one of his best friends and had called to his house after school. Boy was doing his chores, so they arranged to meet in the park in a while. When Boy B arrived there, he was with Anna, a girl he knew from school, but not that well. He told Garda, "At one stage Anna said to me, 'I have something to ask you. I was wondering if you wanted to go out with me.' I was surprised. It came out of nowhere. I kind of knew she liked me because she kind of asked me out before." He said he wanted to tell her gently that he didn't want to go out with her. "I said, 'I'm sorry, but I'm not interested.' She didn't answer. She said nothing. She walked off. She looked annoyed and sad at the same time." By this stage, Boy B had also left, Boya said. He walked on alone until he was attacked by 2 males. One grabbed him by the shoulder and pulled him to the ground. Then both started kicking him, he claimed. The attack ended when Boya got up and kicked one of them in the head, causing both to flee. Garda were somewhat skeptical of the story. The boy did have injuries consistent with an assault. His arm and leg were injured, and his face was cut, but his account didn't feel right. In particular, his description of defeating his attacker with a kick to the head sounded more like teenage fantasy than reality. Nevertheless, Garda were assigned to investigate the alleged assault. Boyle was taken to Garda headquarters in Phoenix Park in Dublin, where he helped investigators compile a photofit of the attackers. None of the witnesses in the park that day saw anybody matching the photofit. CCTV cameras also failed to pick up anyone matching the description. The following day, Wednesday, May 16th, the search was kicked up a gear. There were now serious concerns that Anna may have been harmed or even killed. It's Mark O'Neill of Lucan Garda Station was assigned to lead the missing person investigation, and all members coming on duty in stations in North Dublin and Kildare were briefed. Specialist search teams were brought in, including the Garda Sabaka unit, which searched the River Liffey and other bodies of water in the area. The civil defense provided 60 members to aid in the operation. The Garda Crime and Security Branch was asked to analyze mobile phone traffic to try to track Anna's movements. By now, the Garda were treating the boys' statements with increasing suspicion. Both boys had provided accounts that didn't fully add up, and Boy's supposed attack was beginning to look more fabricated by the minute. As the search expanded, it became clear that every moment was crucial. Her body was found in an abandoned farmhouse on May 17, 2018. Glenwood House was built around 1800. Some say it was designed by James Gandon, the architect of the Custom House and the forecourts on the Liffey in Dublin. The handsome farmhouse sits on just over 40 hectares, or 100 acres, of farmland at the edge of St. Catherine's Park on the Lucancloney Road, in an area known locally as Cold Blow. It was home to the Colgan family until the last decades of the 20th century before being abandoned entirely. The subsequent years were not kind to Glenwood. Despite being a protected structure because of its architectural significance, the house was effectively a ruin by May 2018. Bottles and cans littered the floors. The result of the house's popularity, with local teenagers looking to avoid the prying eyes of parents and Gardaí. The roofs had collapsed in several places, and several rooms had been gutted by fire. The house continued its decline even after it was bought, in the early 2000s, by a company linked to the hotelier Noel O'Callaghan for €10.5 million. In recent years, the company has been trying to get planning permission to turn it into a 62-bed nursing home, a plan welcomed by most locals, who despaired that the once fine structure had become an eyesore. The discovery of Anna's body at Glenwood House marked a tragic end to the search. The location underscored the brutal reality of the situation. Her family, friends, and the community were left devastated, grappling with the shock and horror of her death. The investigation, now centered on Glenwood House, intensified as Garda worked to piece together what had happened. As the police delved deeper, the boys' earlier statements came under even greater scrutiny. The abandoned farmhouse, with its eerie, dilapidated structure, had become a silent witness to the tragic events that led to Anna's untimely demise. The community's initial shock turned into a collective mourning as the tragic details of Anna's last moments began to unfold. Her clothing and pieces of her iPhone were scattered around the room. Nearby were a cement block and a large stick, both of which were blood-stained. Bloodstains were also found on the walls and on the carpeted floor, clearly from the many wounds on the girl's body. A long length of Tescan insulation tape was partially wrapped around her neck. She had 3 fingers inside the tape, as if she was trying to get it off. Gardaí quickly established a crime scene while they awaited the arrival of Sip John Gordon from Lucan Garda Station. A local GP was called to formally pronounce death, and within an hour, the Kriégel family had been told by their Garda liaison officer that Anna's body had been found. They were informed they would have to go to the morgue that evening to make a formal identification. The missing person investigation immediately became a murder investigation, and Inspo Neil was appointed senior investigating officer, with 20 Gardaí working under him. For now, his job would be to marshal the many forensic and technical experts who would file in and out of Glenwood House for the next several days. Every inch of room 1 would be examined and catalogued, along with every beer can, cigarette butt, and piece of debris it contained. The most pressing task was the pathology exam. The state pathologist, Professor Marie Cassidy, she has since retired, visited the location before overseeing the transport of the body by hearse to the state laboratory, in Whitehall in North Dublin for a full autopsy that evening. Ana had a staggering number of injuries. During the trial, Cassidy would spend about 40 minutes just listing the 50 injury sites. There were bruises and lacerations all over the body, with the most serious injuries to Ana's head, face, and neck. Two boys, both aged 13, immediately came under suspicion. As minors, they could not be named in the media, and to this day are known in reports as Boy A and Boy B, as they were granted lifelong anonymity at their trial. They were the youngest people in the history of the Republic of Ireland to be charged with murder. Both were charged with murder. Boy A was additionally charged with aggravated sexual assault. Both charges carry potential life sentences for adults, but these are not mandatory for children. Their trial began in the Central Criminal Court on the 29th of April 2019. The two accused were found guilty of murder on the 18th of June 2019. The jury had deliberated for over 14 hours. After the verdict, Mr. Justice Paul McDermott thanked the jury members and relieved them from jury duty for the rest of their lives. Prosecuting counsel said there were places available at Oberstown Children Detention Campus. The judge remanded them in custody and adjourned sentencing to the 15th of July. Sentencing was further adjourned to October to allow for psychological assessments to take place. A number of posts appeared on social media platforms, including Twitter and Facebook, that identified the two boys despite a court order preventing this. An injunction was served on Twitter and Facebook to remove all of these posts. The sentencing took place on the 5th of November 2019. Boy A was sentenced to life with a review period after 12 years for Ana's murder. Additionally, he was sentenced to 12 years for aggravated sexual assault. This sentence is to run alongside the murder sentence. His co-accused, Boy B, was sentenced to 15 years for Ana's murder, with a review period after 8 years. Outside the court, Ana's father Patrick said, "Forever is not long enough," in response to the sentences. The boys will be offered new identities after their release. Patrick Kriégel died on the 19th of June 2022. The boys were both held in the Oberstown Detention Center in North Dublin until 2022. They were then transferred to an adult prison upon turning 18, in May 2020. Boy A, then aged 15, was assaulted by fellow inmates, suffering minor injuries. Ana Kriegel's funeral, held on the 31st of May 2018 at Newlands Cross Crematorium in Dublin, was a poignant tribute marked by colorful attire and heartfelt donations to the Russian-Irish adoption group, reflecting Ana's vibrant spirit. Her coffin was adorned with symbols of her Russian heritage, including a flag and a Matryoshka doll, honoring her identity. Following the trial, Ana's parents bravely spoke outside the court, with her father emphasizing Ana's resilience as their strength, while her mother expressed enduring love and cherished memories of their daughter. In Ana's memory, her family established the Ana's network of adolescence charity in collaboration with the Russian-Irish adoption group, dedicated to supporting teenagers. The aftermath of the trial sparked public debate, highlighted by Denise Fergus, mother of James Bulger, expressing concerns over the anonymity granted to Ana's perpetrators.